robust urban garlic flavor.
GTA 4 has been a vexing playthrough for Phil because he can't seem to get any momentum on it. One stream he hits the goal, another stream it doesn't, then he moves it to the night stream, the same thing happens, and it looks like DSP has finally thrown in the towel and decided to put this to rest and wage quit the game. He's been talking about it for weeks, like how his audience get bored midway through the game. He played it 6 years ago, he assumes he has the exact same audience he has back then, and he's like, yeah, the same thing happens. They're just not interested in the game. Maybe because you were boring, Phil. Now let's hear Phil on the Daily Cope talk about it.
An interesting streaming day.
Whenever Phil says interesting on these daily raps, he means he hit one goal, but he didn't hit the other one.
A fun one. A good variety of content. Some new stuff that people have been dying for me to try out.
So in the morning, he was playing Battlefield 6 open beta, and there was a lot of hype for that, so he hit the goal on that. But on GTA 4 mods, the hype dried up, because who wants to see an old game with mods when Phil's boring?
A DSP tries it. That was kind of unpredictable.
Yeah, people have been waiting for years to see you choke on a foot-long Phil, but I really doubt that.
And a finale that, honestly, I didn't foresee.
Phil, you don't foresee anything if you realized 20 years ago that if you did YouTube, you would be an online panhandler and miserable every day. You would have done something else. You would have stuck with the helicopter job.
Let's talk about all of it, because a lot went down today. So first off,
and here Phil gives you his quarterly report about how much money his fans give him and why he expects more tomorrow.
Today we did an episode of the Level 1 podcast that covered some big schedule updates and changes.
Oh my god, Phil, you talk about the schedule every single day. It's not a huge deal. You just feel like you're blowing up your self-importance by talking about it all the time because you think it's like this business that you run. Dude, you're a live streamer that entertains. It's not that deep.
What I mean by that is that we have come to the end of several different playthroughs, including Death Stranding 2, Mafia, The Old Country, and Donkey Kong Bananza.
Yeah, here's Phil. He hasn't finished any of those games, but he's gonna struggle for like 20 days to figure out how to replace them because he can't figure out what new games are coming out and when to play them on stream. It's a really tough thing for him to figure out. And then he asks his fans for advice whenever they tell him a game. He's like, I don't know. And then he decides to do what he wants to do all along. So it's just a stupid roundabout process.
And because of that, we're kind of figuring out what ends when, what continues next week, etc. I fully went through what I expect the schedule to be moving forward next week, and all kinds of interesting stuff. We looked at some DSP Tries It possibilities for the next episode, and we just hung out and had a good time.
Yeah, this is the part of the problem that Phil runs into because he streams 12 times a week. He has to make a big deal about what games he's playing, when he's playing, what the rewards are going to be, what it is. It's just all boring nonsense filler stuff that pads his podcast so he has something to do. Why he hasn't literally just done just chatting streams is because he fears that after an hour to an hour and a half, he's going to be out of stuff to talk about, and he's just going to be awkwardly staring at the screen for the next 3 hours waiting for contributions to roll in. He doesn't have that real extemporaneous way of thinking and reacting. Like, he can talk to you about food for 5 hours, but there's only so much you can talk about food in one sitting.
Then we moved into Battlefield 6's open beta. Now, two things. Number one, I haven't played Battlefield 6 at all.
Dude, how could you have played it if it's an open beta? Are you trying to tell us that you sucked at the game and are coping at it already? It's alright, Phil. We know you're terrible at every game. You're good at panhandling. You're not good at gaming.
I haven't played Battlefield since like 2 iterations ago. I've literally never played Battlefield on a keyboard and mouse.
Oh my god, he is literally trying to set us up and trying to lessen the shock that he sucks at the game. Phil, nobody cares if you're good at the game or not. What trolls and detractors latch onto is that you're incredibly tight about being bad at games, that you're very sensitive, and they find it funny because your reactions to it are hilarious. Your ego is too high, and when it's popped, it's funny. That's all it is. So stop being a stick in the mud and actually enjoy the games that you're playing.
So there's all these things going on.
Yep, we got a bunch of filler gaming as Phil continues to beg on DSP begging.
In addition, today, we are at 9 out of 10 goals hit for support, And if we hit a 10th goal, we were going to do DSP Tries It, Shake Shack.
Phil, you don't need to say this because you already said you did DSP Tries It on stream. You make an 8-minute video, but it's really like 3 minutes of actual information because you repeat yourself so often.
So, we had a few things going on during the stream. How did it go? Well, the first hour I sucked horribly and died a zillion times and flubbed about and just struggled because I couldn't figure out how to play the game.
Yeah, I saw some of that because I just clicked on the stream and it was like, what am I gonna do? And I'm like, okay, this is typical Phil, not knowing anything about the game, asking his audience for help, yada, yada, yada. And then I clicked off.
Then it finally started to click. I started to remember the class-based stuff and what you're supposed to be doing. It's not just run and gun and get kills like Call of Duty, but instead actually do the objectives that your class is good at. Actually heal your teammates, revive them, actually take out the vehicles with the rocket launcher, etc., right?
So what you're telling us is that you learn the game. Like, here's the thing that I don't get with Phil. He expects immediate success. So when that doesn't happen, he has to like cope in some way or like find an excuse for it. And he's just so ignorant, man.
So during the course of the 3 hours or so that I played, I got some epic kills, blowing up vehicles with multiple people in them. I took out a chopper with an RPG, and it was a really epic kill.
And he will clip absolutely none of that because he's Phil and he's lazy.
And then we did hit the support goal, so it was time for DSP Tries It, Shake Shack.
Yeah, DSP kind of controversially hit the goal last night to get him to 1 away from DSP Tries It. An anonymous tip came in that got him right to the goal, and people are saying that he faked it himself, which is entirely plausible. I mean, if he really wanted to shut the detractors up, he'd say, okay, trolls, that was a real tip, and to show you, I'm gonna put Donkey Kong Bonanza back on the day stream because people are supporting this game at the very end. That would do a long ways to dispel those rumors of you fake tipping yourself, which is very plausible that you were doing.
All I will say is you can watch the episode over on DSP React, and it is a weird one, because some of the stuff is pretty good, some of the stuff is just not so good, or average, and one of the pieces, the critical piece of my order, the reason why I wore the Sonic the Hedgehog hat for the actual episode, was done wrong. They actually got my order wrong. So, if you want to see what I mean, watch the episode. I hope you'll enjoy it. Okay?
Yeah, he's trying to hype up his boring food tasting event. Phil, nobody cares. Like, I will react to it on my live streaming channel just for giggles, but it's not a big deal. DoorDash always messes up your order, probably intentionally because you were such a 220.
Now, I went late doing DSP Tries It, so sadly I only had time to upload the podcast and DSP Tries It. There was no way I was going to be able to upload 3 more hours of footage with only like a 90-minute break.
Yeah, you know why it takes him so long to upload footage is because he records his live streams on OBS. He records simultaneously while streaming, so he does hour chunks. Then he takes the time to upload them all onto YouTube. Yeah, he could just leave his live stream up. So now we get things where the uploads are out of order for whatever reason. I guess he doesn't upload them in order, or he puts them in all at once and it kind of like spins around and stuff like that. But it's kind of hard if you're an on-demand viewer, like all 20 of them, and they have to sift through 8 videos a day and they're not even in order. So you have to go to the channel page and just figure it out. I don't know. Yeah, Phil spends a lot more time on stuff that doesn't matter than he actually realizes. But since he's a live streaming panhandler, he doesn't have to worry about it. But if he's actually smart and edited instead of, you know, uploading raw clips, like he could literally just take 15 minutes out of his podcast and it would get more views than his other videos, and more watch time probably too, because that's just how it is, Phil. You got to get the juicy bits out. You can't leave the whole unfinished meal up for people to watch because nobody wants to digest that.
So, right now Battlefield 6 is not live, but it will go live overnight. Okay, so if you're watching this relatively close to when it went live on my channel, Battlefield will be tomorrow, or overnight. You can watch it overnight or tomorrow. Okay?
Yeah, I hate to break it to you, Phil, but anybody who is not a West Coast viewer or somebody who stays awake all night because they're nocturnal is going to be watching it the next day if they watch it at all. What you don't get is that since you are a live streamer, on-demand viewership is not going to be very plentiful, so you might as well just leave the live streams up, but you want to do things in your stupid way that has negatively impacted your channel more than you realize.
There you go. Tonight was the return of Grand Theft Auto 4 with mods.
Yeah, and this playthrough was a disaster for him to set up because he did like 3 different sessions with somebody on how to install these mods, and Phil couldn't figure it out, and he had so many technical difficulties where he was like, yeah guys, just give me money because I toiled through all this stuff just to do it for you. I usually just download the game and make it play it for itself. Yeah, it may look nicer, Phil, but that doesn't change the entertainment value that you provide, which is not much whatsoever.
Now, last time around when we played this game as a late night stream, it did amazingly well. If I remember correctly, we at least hit 1 goal. We almost hit 2 support goals. People were engaged. People were having a great time. And they said, Phil, now will you do the DLCs? And I said, well, if it keeps at this level, sure. Okay?
Yeah, this has been a very frustrating playthrough for Phil because it is just like his streaming career right now. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. He wants consistency. He wants to know that he has that 150 in the bank when the stream goes live. But that doesn't happen, Phil, because some days the whales are going to support, some days the whales aren't going to support. And whatever reason why, I don't know. Just life, I suppose.
So tonight I went into it saying, guys, listen, if we hit a support goal tonight and we finish this game getting support goals, because we're only probably 2-3 streams away from finishing the main campaign of GTA 4, we'll do the DLCs. I will commit 100%. Support these streams, we'll do the DLCs. I want to do Ballad of Gay Tony again. I've only played them each once ever.
He's been saying for weeks that he won't do the DLC because support hasn't been consistent enough. So essentially, it's not even just hitting the goal. It may be hitting 1.5 times the goal, you know, like 225. Because if it's not Truck Sim, it's a waste of his time because it's not a moneymaker.
And I never got to replay them. It's been over a decade since I played them, okay? Why didn't I play the DLCs 6 years ago when I last replayed GTA 4? I'll tell you why. Because exactly what's happening right now happened back then too.
You know what happened? Phil was boring and his fans didn't want to support the playthrough consistently to his expectations. So he was like, nope, I gotta wage quit it to do something else that I'm going to threaten to wage quit.
People wanted GTA 4, asked for it. We started playing it halfway through. Interest fell apart and people didn't want it anymore and stopped showing up for it.
Yeah, so it sounds like your fans enjoy the game. If they enjoy the game, why don't they support the game? Oh wait, because they're not supporting the game, they're supporting the streamer. So maybe the streamer is just so boring that even though the game is fun, they lose interest in it like 10 hours in because the Phil man is boring. And hey, it's impressive that they have the attention span to last for 10 hours of your boring gameplay. I think you should reward them with doing the DLC anyways, because guess what? They do sit through the boring gameplay that you produce day in, day out. I give them props for that.
Again tonight, we had a decent audience, but support. By the end of the night, we raised $80. So not a horrible stream. I'm not upset, but at the same time, that's it.
Okay, Phil, I'm not upset in the same breath. Yeah, I'm done with this playthrough. I'm finished. You were totally upset. You were totally disappointed. You didn't hit the support goal. You expected that your fans would rally, but they didn't. No WWE champions tonight, so you were totally upset.
You know, I'm tired of giving this game chances, and then we randomly have a stream where it's massively supported, and then we have 2 that aren't at all. I'm not going to do the DLCs. I'm sorry. I want to make this abundantly clear.
No, you're lying right here. This is nonsense. You're playing Mafia to the end, even though it's not hitting support goals. You played Claire Obscure to the end, even though you didn't hit support goals. You were wage quitting this game. You don't want to play the DLC. If you really wanted to play the DLC, you would shut up and do it.
I want to play the DLCs. But if people won't show up and support the main game, they're not going to show up for the DLCs. So that's it.
Again, to repeat this point, he's playing Mafia the Old Country to the end because he likes the game. If he liked GTA 4 enough, he would play the DLCs.
Once we beat GTA 4 and its main story, it again gets retired, and maybe one day we'll go back to it, or maybe we'll give it some time, and then maybe we'll do the DLCs as a standalone in the future, but we're not doing them right now. Okay? All right.
Alright, so who is the person in their thumbnail says GTA 4 ends? Bill, that implies that you were quitting right now. You're still playing the game, so don't come crying about the detractors saying that you wage quit this game. When you literally put in your thumbnail, I'm not playing this game anymore. Ends means finish, Phil. We've reached the terminal. And this should show you how cooked in the algorithm DSP is. I had to go back to his channel page and literally type in the last half of his video to get it to pop up, because that's how boring and uninteresting the stuff DSP puts out there is, that YouTube doesn't want to give it to anybody. Even me, the person who is actively searching for it, Phil. Your channel is so done because of the way you've mismanaged it over the years.
There's roughly 2 hours left. But you know me. I interact, we talk and hang out. I likely will not be beating this game within the first 2 hours. It'll take longer than that. So if I do this as a mainstream and we don't do a formal podcast, we should be beating Death Stranding 2 tomorrow.
That is debatable. You usually take time with the games because you're just so terrible at them and don't know what exactly you should do. Like, I've watched you play Bananza, you just stare at the screen and complain. There isn't much looking at the chat, because you only talk to people in the chat if they tag you.
But I hope that you guys will show up and support the streams tomorrow.
So here's what I think Phil is thinking by telling his fans in advance that he's not doing the DLC. He thinks his fans are gonna rally behind the last couple of streams and he's gonna squeeze as much money out of GTA 4 as he can. And then he's gonna say, oh well, I already said we're not doing the DLC, even if you gave me multiple goals hit on the last 2 streams, I'm not playing the DLC because I know this is how it's gonna work. And Phil's fans are gonna be like, what? But we supported it. And he's like, yeah, but I already told you I'm not doing the DLC. Now this could totally backfire because his fans may protest and say, hey, if he's not doing the DLC and he's committed to finishing it, why even give him money for it? Those are 2 ways I can see it unfolding, but Phil's playthrough of this has been up and down support-wise, and he hates that. He really wants consistent support. He does not like it when he does a stream and it doesn't hit a goal, regardless of how far away it's from. That's just the way Phil operates, and he needs to understand he either needs to lower his goals or raise his ceiling if he wants to hit these goals all the time. But he won't do that because he's too married to his art form of e-begging.
Because exactly what's happening right now happened back then too. People wanted GTA 4, asked for it, we started playing it, halfway through, interest fell apart and people didn't want it anymore and stopped showing up for it.
That's it. You know, I'm tired of giving this game chances